Sure, so much fun.
Right? Gotta have some fun with them. I was just thinking, well, I've been thinking we will get a new video here
With sharks.
with them. Like picture creations and all that good stuff of us. Maybe a video of us swimming with whales. That'd be fun. Yay! Welcome everyone. Whether you are here live like Thomas is and Lolita, thank you for being here. If you're watching the replay, welcome. Or maybe you're watching this live on YouTube. That is awesome too. Thank you so much for being here, for joining me. If you don't know who I am, that'd be kind of surprising, but I would assume you do. But I'm Spencer Jones, the Prince of Positivity, the CEO of Jones and Four and all that. And we love helping people step into their light and shine. And we love helping you do that, right? Because you are amazing, you are worthy, you are enough just the way you are. But yet, there's things in our life that dim our light, or at least put up, I won't say dim our light, your light's always shining bright, but it puts up these walls that stops the world from seeing our light and stops us sometimes from seeing our light. One of those things that puts up those walls is stress. And we face so much stress in our life from a variety of different things, from work, from family, to expectations. Like there's so many things that can lay down stress. And so I wanted to, well, I got connected with our expert Lolita about a year ago, and she is an expert in helping people overcome stress. And so we've been talking. She joined us in the Philippines just a couple weeks ago. I mean, what, a week ago we got back home, something like that, from the Philippines, and had an amazing experience there. And I got to learn how she does this. And so we wanted to bring her on, have an amazing masterclass, and we put something really cool and special together that we'll share with you at the end. But before I get all into all the good stuff and let it all go, you know what? I talk way too much as it is. Let's get Lolita up on the stage and welcome her. So everyone give her a round of applause. Yay! Welcome, Lolita. Thank you so much for hopping in and joining us today and sharing your knowledge and wisdom. For Thomas who's here, just drop in the comments, say hello. If you have questions, hop in there. If you're watching this on replay, come join us live, or replay can't join us live, but you can ask questions and message Lolita as well. She is in the Energy Hub. So, Lolita, you are an expert in overcoming stress and managing it and how to make sure we are at our best. But why don't you share with everyone a little bit about you, who you are, and what you do?
Well, first of all, thank you so much, Spencer, for inviting me to speak to you and to your peeps because um, we can talk about stress a lot and we all stressing out. Um, but today's presentation it will be a little bit different than I expected to begin with. I thought we should have no slides because I want to speak and connect to those who are listening in and watching me on the replay or live. And it will be more like a just sit down conversation. So those who are wondering, like, okay, yeah, why are you so special? I am no special, okay? I joke, I say I'm an expert in stress management because I've been stressing out all my life. It makes me an expert if you add up all those hours. 3 days ago, I became 5 times Amazon #1 best-selling author. So I do write about stress and just living and what it means to be a human on this planet and shine your light, like you say. And there are a lot of things that really come from deep down inside of us, and I'm really not afraid of those things. And I will be touching on those things in today's conversation. So get ready. Um, so I came to US 25 years ago. For those who were wondering, wait, she has an accent? Is that from Boston? I know it's not from Boston. Okay, that I do not speak like Boston. I know that, but I came to US to look for my American dream because money grows on trees here. So after I arrived here, I realized, oh no, wait, it doesn't. But basically what I'm saying is I came as an immigrant to this country, and I started from, positions, obviously, cleaning restrooms in the middle of the night. But I also came from Lithuania, and I grew up in Soviet Union. So to begin with, it was very stressful from the get-go for me. Also, my dad was alcoholic, and there's a lot of trauma that has, everyone who comes from Europe because all the wars and all the things. So natural was already in a very stressful situation, and then they just continued the same way because when you come to a new country, it's a new stress. But then, I added education and I went to work for a corporation. It doesn't, now, listen, it doesn't matter where you work. You still stress. They say, oh, I dropped the corporate environment and now I work for a small company and this is so great. Well, guess what? You still need to go to work. You still need to wake up, right? So it's really about your set of mind. This is how you manage your stress. It's not where you really work or who you live with. So I was working extra hard. I was super achiever, working all weekends, forget lunches, workout. Are you kidding me? Workout. I don't have time for that. And basically, what happened to me, it caught up that it influenced my physical body. And it got to the point that I had to go to emergency room, and doctor said, "That's good that you arrived today, not tomorrow, because you'll be dead by then." And I'm not gonna go into details, but I had to do surgery and all the stuff, and I'm here, I'm alive. But that was a great wake up call, because I was like, "Wait, I'm in my 30s. Are you what you talking about? I'm supposed to be healthy." Um, but you know how they say, "Well, you just go to the doctor, they'll give you a pill, and then you'll be fine." I'm like, I'm not gonna do pills. I don't want to do that. When you look at the nature, stress is everywhere. I mean, probably that grass growing through the concrete walk was stressing. I don't think that was an easy breeze, but it did it. So I was like, okay, it has to be some natural ways how to do it. And I started with just simple stress management bandages, as they call, doing yoga, meditation, journaling, all of those who are listening in, they're like, yeah, I already know. Don't tell me that. Um, but then I realized after a few years that there was something else in there. Um, and when I was reading a book about business, how to run coaching business, because I already had my coaching, clients and all that, I realized it also has a lot to do with my upbringing. So remember I mentioned you that I grew up in Soviet Union and my dad was alcoholic? Well, guess what? All of that started then. And then I realized this is how I manage stress. I just started with anxiety. I just carried on, and I did not know really how to self-regulate, how to identify emotions, how to even time spend time. Um, for me, just relaxing. What does this really means to relax and not to have stress? And so then I just became so passionate about teaching people about stress management, but also that has to do with very, very deep what's happened to us and what habits and patterns do we carry on from day to day that's actually causing stress. So I do coaching, I speaking, I have online membership, I have all those great things, but that's a long story of who I am.
Hold on, I'm on mute. There we go. Woo! Thank you. It was a great long story of who you are, so we get to know who Lolita is and how you got to be the expert that you are in it. So thank you so much for sharing all of that and helping us get a peek in the window of who's Lolita. So thinking of stress management, right? Money grows on trees. Oh no, it doesn't, right? But the stressors that come with trying to make that living, and thinking about just how can we overcome stress? Can you give us a brief overview of what people can expect from this master class, so they know what they're in, what they're getting ready for over the next 40, 50 minutes or so?
So I'll be talking about what is stress, and I will be breaking a lot of myths, and we will be talking deep. And I will giving you plenty of tips that I'll recommend you to have a piece of paper and start writing things down. Um, I will reveal my toolkit, what they call calm process, and we'll go just kind of touch on that, and well, whatever we have later on time, then I'll be very happy to dive in more into that. But I'll give you plenty of tools and little tips and techniques that you can do all through the day that has to do with your stress, maybe in this situation when it just appears, or in your keeping away stress maintenance mentality.
I love it. So a lot of tips and tricks and advice to help us do that along with your calm process that we'll dive into. I'm and more. And so I'm super excited for it. So I'm going to get off the stage. It's going to be all yours. Go for it. Go shine your light
Mhm.
and share with us all that you have to share. And if people have questions, feel free to drop them in the comments or raise your hand, and we can address them as we go along. So, Lolita, the stage is yours. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, what is stress? When you think about stress is everywhere. But the funny thing I notice that there are some people think that they don't have stress. And when I have in-person presentations and I talk, at the companies that do lunch and learns and do all kinds of speaking, um, there's sometimes that somebody comes to me and they say, very proudly, by the way, I never stress. And I'm thinking, okay, that's probably not possible. But then I'll just tell them, okay, I'm very happy to hear that, but why are you wearing clothes? Because you see, your body was stressing, yeah? It gave you signals that it says, listen, I'm not feeling comfortable. I need to put my clothes on because it's cold outside, or it doesn't make you feel comfortable and walking around naked. I mean, maybe somewhere in the jungle when everybody, the weather's nice and you like, hey, this is how we do it. you know, that's great. But what I'm trying to say is stress, the way I understand, is everything outside of your normal. Anything that makes you feel not comfortable, that is stress. And I also want to say that stress is very different to all of us. We can, and of course, there are, somebody can say, well, I don't know what does mean, to be stressed. And if you look online, there will be description about, how your body reacts and to stress, and, you feel, your heartbeat racing, your palms sweat, and all of those physical things. But there's a lot of things that are happening in your mind really that you are stressing, that you get anxious and you worry and all of those things. But while we're all humans, we may experience all of those. uh, there is a lot of, in this process, personal element of, and now I want to touch a little bit about my story, and I want to think about yours. Where are you coming from? What environment did you grow up? Because when I was in the search for what is that really the bottom of stress management, why am I behaving the way I'm behaving? Why am I thinking the way I'm thinking? Why I am so stressed out? What made me sick? So, just for example, let's imagine there's too few people talking in the room, and then you hear a noise outside in the corridor, and you don't really know what those people talking about, but they very excited. Meaning from they're raising their voices, they very expressive, and some commotion. Sounds like what's going on there. Now, the person who grew up in the more stable environment, or who knows how to manage stress or how to manage the emotions, self-regulate, and how to manage the situation right that moment, they may think those two dudes are just talking about the football game yesterday, because there's some expressions and some excitement. But then if you have someone, let's say for example like me, that I grew up in the environment where I had my dad drinking and I don't even know what today's going to look like, um then mind you, my mom tried to keep very stable environment, and I've always been fed and went to school and all that. But I remember I was afraid to go home after school because I had no idea what I'm going to find and how drunk is my dad's going to get. So because I've seen a lot of that shouting, shoving, the excitement, passionate, which is really scary for me. If I'm in that room and I hear somebody outside the door talking passionately about something, it can trigger my trauma response of thinking, oh my gosh, they're fighting. It also can remind me how my mom was fighting with my dad when she was complaining that he's drunk, or when he was coming back drunk and he was throwing things. So to me, that will trigger anxiety. I will immediately feel not safe. So here you go. You have two people in the room, and one says, hey, those dudes are just, having fun. And me, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I need to flee. So that is how we manage stress in that given situation. So I can give as many tips today as possible, but you all will take those very differently, and all of them will work on you differently too. In different situation, the same tool can work, and let's say you do the same tool next day and it doesn't work, because it really depends on your anxiety level of how long you have that stress, and how you also manage day-to-day maintenance of stress. So I think there are two stresses really. One, what I just mentioned, is the maintenance stress, meaning you're going day to day to day to day, and what are those activities that you do. And I was listening this morning video of you, Spencer, where you were telling about your morning routine, how you journal, you being grateful, you go work out, and all of this. So I will touch on that a little bit. But we need to understand that stress management, like everything else, is very, very personal. So when you listen to something that I say, it's not like, or anybody else says, of course, it shouldn't be like, okay, I'm going to do this because everybody's doing that. This is how I need to feel. You have to have those features through every day to day routine that help you to maintain your stress levels. That's very, very important. But you also need to manage what happens when stress happens just like that. Somebody shouting in a corridor. What you going to do? Is that triggered you? You feel like not safe? You want to run away? What is that you're going to do? So when you think your personal stress, you need to put yourself on a schedule every single day to maintain your stress levels. And I say there are seven human needs, which I think originally I heard it from Bashar, and I love that very much, because we all talk about, oh, they're just five, but actually there's more human needs. And I will touch on that when I will be talking about the maintenance part, and of course give you tips and tricks how to do the maintenance stuff. And then there are the tools that you have to do it right away, whatever something happened. What is that you do? And talking about the maintenance part, there are a lot of things that being said, what I heard about stress management, that just being applied to everyone. And if somebody says, well, you need to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and then you need to go run, and then you do all of this. And we have to start paying attention what is really causing us to be us. Like I said first, and this is what I will ask you to really ponder and write it down, probably not right now, because it's going to take you some time, and really have courage of thinking about who are you. That has to do with stress management, and where you're coming from. Because you cannot do anything, you cannot apply anything or learn anything if you don't even know where your starting point is. Of who are you? Like, they say the fish cannot climb a tree. I'm not saying you're a fish, and I'm not saying you climb a tree, but it could be that you were never equipped to manage stress the right way, like I was. I came from very anxiety driven environment, and to me, being constantly anxious was my normal. Now, for somebody else, could be like, oh my gosh, that's very stressful. But because I endure this every single day, for me, that was like, oh, that's just a normal environment. So when I came here to this country, I added more stress into my body. And that's what the body says, okay, I just got to stop because I cannot do this anymore. So it's like what they say, when you drop a frog in the boiling water, the frog will jump out because he's like, come on, this is too hot. I'm going to get out. But if you will just put that frog in the water, and you just raise the temperature, and the water, it's just going to start boiling. But, the frog is just sitting there because, well, it's already used to that temperature. So that was that frog, boiled myself. So I'm inviting you to be courageous and really start thinking about yourself. Like, what kind of environment did I grow up? What was my anxiety, stress level starting point? And if you feel uncomfortable right away about this, I totally get it. And why this is extremely important. Um, because if you don't know who you are, it will be very difficult to apply anything. But what can be so scary about this of thinking, okay, what environment did I grow up is your loyalty can kick in. That's really comes to self-preservation. We humans, we belong to a group. We need other people. Not from perspective of they need to make me happy. No, you need to make yourself happy. But it's just more fun, isn't it, when we're in the group? Because when you are with other person in a conversation in the group, you can experience things. For example, I hate traveling alone because I want to share that with someone. I want to say, hey, oh my gosh, look at this cookie. Isn't this great? Like, look at this view. This is awesome. That's why I went on the trip with Spencer, because when he said, we're going to Philippines, you want to go? I'm like, absolutely. Because I want to be with people who inspire me, who are positive, and we're enjoying life together. That's what they call to be a human. When you are in the group enjoying it together, that's more fun. So we need to belong to a group, and that's really leading us to we're afraid to be excluded from that group. And when we're children, we really depend on our parents or caregivers, somebody who's going to feed us and make sure that we're safe there. So that's mean whatever they do, whatever they say, it becomes like sacred. It becomes the God, the authority. And when you're a child, you depend on that. But what happens is that become we have to please the authority in order for us to be fed and be alive. But the problem is that we grow up in this with those patterns of loyalty, of pleasing, of singing the song that they tell us to do. And then we bring this into adulthood. And so you may feel uncomfortable that you need to think about, oh, what environment did I grow up? Was I happy there? Was I safe? Other people who, helped me to grow up, how they manage stress. I tell you, for the longest time, obviously before I even got into stress management, I was catastrophizing everything. Everything was a big deal for me. Obviously, I did not know how to regulate myself. And I mean, I'm a very passionate person, as you can tell. So imagine me like triple me, that's like over the top all the time. And if I'm angry or whatever, I'm just lash out and all of those things. And I still do, once in a while because that's me. But now I'm paying attention to this. I realized there was a point that I was behaving this way because I grew up in an environment where my parents were behaving that way. So everything starts when you identify who you are. And if you're afraid to break loyalties of saying, oh my gosh, well, my parents, my environment, they were not perfect, but I am afraid to talk about this, or even afraid to have an idea that, oh, they were not perfect. And then you feel like, oh my gosh, now they will kick me out and then I'll die. You can tell yourself, I am just identifying the environment. I'm not judging them. I'm just identifying where am I starting from. That is very important. So I hope you will take some time after this presentation to really think about what did you learn when you were a child? What is your set point? How do people around you manage stress? And then identify what is it you're still doing right now that is the same thing as, let's say, your mom or dad does. And start paying attention when people tell you, oh my God, you just like your mom. Or, oh my God, you just like your dad. That means you are bringing the same environment, the same behavior from your childhood. But then when somebody tells you, oh, you just like your mom, um, ask them, like, what is specifically you mean? And then start really looking, what are those parts that you're still carrying with you? And if they are stress related, then you identify that and then you can change it. Because if that is really the part of you, it's very difficult to change something that's the part of you because it's like you get going against yourself. But like any emotion, and I'm sure you heard that I was so happy to hear that when you are label feeling an emotion, let's say you're stressing out about something, and then you ask yourself, like, okay, what am I feeling right now? Like already can feel my heart is beating, and you can maybe feel first all the what's happening in your body. Then you say, okay, what is really happening to me now? What am I feeling? I'm feeling scared. Okay. When you put that label on the feeling and the emotion, then you separate that from yourself. This means you can work with that now. You can have empathy towards that. And I love the practice of you just imagine you sitting in the office, and that emotion, that feeling, that worry, that whatever that is bothering you right now enters. And you tell them to sit down in front of you and you have a conversation with it. And you can ask, okay, all right, I know you're upset. Tell me what's bothering you. And the first time when I did that practice, I was so surprised. I was like, wow, my emotions talking back to me. This is something interesting. and and then you can ask a question like, what is it you need from me to make you comfortable? What is it? And just listening. What's happening in this process? And what's happening in anything that has to do when you addressing your stress level, your worry, your sadness, whatever anxiety that is. The beauty of this is really two-sided, I think. The first, that you addressing it, you want to find the cause, you want to heal it, release it, make it better. But then also that moment when you're addressing your stress levels and how you feel and whatever, you are honoring your needs. Why is that important? If we grew up in the environment where we didn't get enough of love and appreciation and validation and all of those things, um, we have a tendency of abandoning ourselves. And it's like, well, what do you mean abandoning yourself? Everywhere I go, I take myself with me, right? But do I? A lot of times, we eager to kill ourselves in order to survive. I know it's very harsh, but just ask yourself, how many times you were not putting yourself first? Because probably you were afraid, you didn't want to be excluded from the group, you felt like you're gonna die, because we still have the same survival mentality. So you need to ask yourself, like, yeah, okay, what am I going to do about that? Now I know those are the feelings, and I should not abandon myself. And when you spend the time in doing anything stress related or anything really about yourself, but specifically about something that's very painful to you, you're honoring your needs, meaning you are not abandoning yourself. That is one, there's the baseline of any stress management. Because as you remember, probably when you were a child, and if you get scared or anxious or whatever, uncomfortable, you go for a hug, right? You go and say, hug me, and kiss me, and here's the boob on my finger, and and you need this somebody to be there with you, right? Comfort you. So when you're not abandoning yourself, you comforting yourself. This is the moment when you tell yourself, I trust you. It's the same as this works with other people when you know you can go to them and they are there for you. Immediately, any situation makes it better, isn't it? Because like now, ask yourself. And that's another, like for example, a list that I would like you to do, and write it down on the list. What are the people that you can trust in your life? Identify them, and they really need to go to be your go-to buddies, that they can help you to self-regulate and support you when you cannot do it yourself. We love helping others. So, we don't have to do it alone. And there's plenty of in Spencer's community, amazing people that you can reach out and get together and get a lot of support, together or alone, and not being ashamed of asking for help. So when you're there for yourself, also what happens? You tell yourself, I'm not going to abandon you. You're giving yourself that hug. You are building trust with yourself of saying, I'm going to be there for you. I'm not going to abandon you. And then you're more confident. So this means whatever stressful situation is going to come, you'll be able to handle it. because you will know, okay, well, fine, I'm gonna lose a job tomorrow. All right, well, I have a whole list of buddies. I'm gonna ask them, maybe they can hire me. And then also I know, hey, I'll have more time to read my book. So it's all about the tools that you're going to use when that stressful situation is gonna come along. But if you grew up in an environment where you're constantly being told that you're not capable of handling anything, when you're not enough of what you do, you already will be coming with a set of mind of nothing works for me. And I say you cannot bulldoze yourself into success, no matter what you do. Even about stress management, I can tell you all the tools in the world how to manage stress. But if you really do not believe they will help you, nothing will help you. Also, I've seen a lot with my clients, and I know I come from the same environment of I was just so eager to hurt myself. Because when I hurt myself, that's love. Ask yourself now, again, very difficult question. What does love means to you? Is love means being abandoned? Like, for example, my dad, like, yeah, he was there, drunk. Not every single day, but the day that he's not drunk, he's hungover. So he's just watching TV. There was not no time of, oh, the thing that I heard, oh, she's a father's daughter. I have no idea what that means. It's like, I mean, daddy never been there for me. And again, I wanted to say, it doesn't matter what traumatic experiences we come from. Like I just said at the beginning, this is very personal to all of us. And my stress, it doesn't mean it's your stress. My trauma, it doesn't mean your trauma. And when I started with all the stress management and all the traumatic experiences and all this, I was listening to other people who, they were like sexually abused. They were like really physically abused and stuff like that. I wasn't. And I thought to myself, I'm like, well, I guess it wasn't that bad. It doesn't matter what big or small trauma come from, how much pain you endured, how you learn your life experience. It is huge for you because you're the one who's feeling that. You're the one who lived through that. So don't tell yourself, "Oh, I didn't suffer enough. I can suffer a little more." No, this is still this mechanism that's trying to keep you alive. This is how you're processing everything that happened to you, and it could be a small thing. And I heard like the children are affected up to 7 years old, and even if, let's say, a baby that being dropped in the crib from, like, I don't know, a foot or, I don't know, 6 inches too high, which is, from our adult point of view, is like, this is ridiculous. This is not even dropping the baby in the crib. This is just like putting it a little harsh. The baby can think, oh, I cannot trust the adult because I feel unsafe. So when somebody says, oh, I never stress, that's not true. Because this planet and this experience is a contrast. That's the beauty of life. But then how is that we handle this? I know I talked a lot about this all already, but those are things that foundations that we need to understand where we're coming from, why is this happening, and not abandoning yourself, and also believing that you deserve better. You can change whatever you want to change. If you belong to Spencer's community, I think I don't need to explain this to you because you're already doing an amazing job of investing time um, to be better, to heal yourself, to make your space a better place to be for other people as well. And self-love. The first time when I heard self-love, oh, you need to love yourself first, that sounded selfish to me. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so selfish. And where is this coming from? It's coming from grooming, being as a child who constantly needs to please my adults, or I will be dead. And I grew up as a one child. I'm not saying again that I'm so special. Look at me, pity me. No, everyone has their own traumas that we're coming from. Everyone have their own pain. But it can stop with you. It's just, if you want to, you just can start doing that. Okay, so you're like, oh my gosh, can she stop talking about this already? Yes. So now let's continue talking about those two parts. Maintenance. Okay, the maintenance that can keep you less stressed out and just everyday la-ti-da, your routine that you need to do. So going back to that video that you Spencer, that you put online, and there's a lot of conversations about You need to wake up early. You need to meditate. You need to set your mind straight, have gratitude, and do your journaling, and you do your routines, and then you start your day. I Nothing new. Yes, you absolutely need to start your day right. Like when I wake up, not even opening my eyes, I'm already starting thinking how wonderful this day is, that I'm grateful for this and for that. While I'm still asleep, I'm still starting like, okay, this is good. It's very important to catch yourself right at the beginning and not to regurgitate your stresses from yesterday. And even the most successful people, even if you have the most money and you can travel the world, you're doing amazing, even if you're on vacation, you can wake up and think, okay, oh my gosh, I walked last night so much, my feet hurt, and today we need to do, we're going to another city and I don't know how the flight's gonna come up. So you can be living the amazing life, but the stresses and worries that could be there. So with the way you start your day is extremely important because this is how you handle the rest of the day, right? Right. Now I want to tackle a little bit about those other things that I mentioned. Just because somebody says that you need to do something, it doesn't mean you have to. I know, like, yeah, tell me something new. But I believe that stress management should not be stressful. Do not put yourself more stress into your life. And what does that I mean by that? And I had this, when I was on my self, development and healing journey. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna wake up early in the morning. I'm gonna meditate. I'm gonna do this and this and that. I learned, and I recommend you now to really ask yourself, okay, what kind of personality are you? What are your natural sleep patterns? And first, I'll recommend you to go and do any personality test where you can read about yourself. Probably there will be some things that you had no idea about yourself. And that's really helping you to understand who are you so you can use any tools that work for you. Because what's the point of using tools that actually is stressing you out more? You're not going to work against yourself. Let's don't work against yourself. I think that's the basic stress management. Don't work against yourself. Then also, did you heard there is a Dr. Sleep or whatever something? And he has a great test. And I'm not affiliated by any means, but I would highly recommend you to go do that test online. There's like, it's called what is your sleep animal chronotype or something like that. And when I did that test, turned out there are 4 types of people: bears, wolf, dolphin, lion. And all of them have very different set of how they like when you wake up, when you want to eat, when you go to sleep, and your productivity, and the whole energy level. So what happened to me when I heard that, hey, this is a great deal to wake up in the morning, and you wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and you're gonna sit down and you're gonna meditate for 30 minutes. Well, I'm a wolf type. I sat on that chair and I just continued to sleep. I cannot meditate in the morning. So if you're one of those people who are not really a morning person, anything that you're going to do in the morning is really working against you. My personal opinion, you do you, and you need to find what is for you. If somebody loves waking up and going to the gym, you go do that. I can't. For me, I need to like quite a few hours until I finally productive. My productivity grows as the day goes into the night. You know when I work out? At 10 p.m. Some people already sleeping. And when I started my journey of, 3 years ago of like, yes, I want to get in better shape. I want to work out, I drink more water and all of those things. I realized that, um, you know, for me better was just doing this at evening. And my coach at the time, she was like, oh, but I wake up in the morning at 5 o'clock and that's when I go to the gym and I work out. And what do you mean you're doing this at 10 p.m.? And then I show her that test and I said, you really need to do things that work for you in your own timing. And then you feel like, yes, I put some work in there. It's it's good for me. I love doing that. So whatever tip or routine or anything that you have to do over your during your day, your daily routine, you make sure that you're doing at a time that is comfortable for you. Make sure that it is working with you, not against you. You know, so think about what your morning routine is and what your evening routine is. Identify that. What works for you, what doesn't. How do you know this? Because you need to start doing different things. But I'm assuming if you're already listening this on Spencer's community, this is, you're not a newbie probably about, all the things that it's very important to that help you with your mindset all through the day. So you probably already know what works for you, what it doesn't. But ask yourself also at the same time, are you doing right now something during your day constantly that is stressing you out? Is there something that you just like, oh my gosh, I really hate doing this? Because when you get in that state of mind, you're stressing yourself. Not a big level, but you are. You're already feeling resentful towards that. And they say, like other people asking me, they're like, oh, am I doing yoga? And I'm like, no, I don't, because I go dance. That's my movement on the body. I love dancing. I dance Latin dances, ballroom dances, and it helps the posture. I love the people. And when I dance, I kind of like meditate. So you need to find yourself. Body activity is very important. So you need to move, walk around. Did you know that if you, so there was this group of women, there were two groups of women. One, they were working out days a week in the gym. And there was another group of women that they were 3 times a week just walking around the block for 10, 15 minutes. Do you know which group actually was less stressed out? The one that was just walking around the block. So when we think about stress management and tools like, well, okay, what do I need to implement in my life? Just because something is harder, it doesn't mean it's actually working better for you. There are a lot of things that we can lower our stress levels that does not involve heavy equipment or a lot of time and energy spent on that. But again, you do you. So set your mind straight at in the beginning of a day, and maybe you can just read a, a page of a book that you love. Or you can somehow inspire yourself. Look at your vision board. For example, me, as soon as I wake up, I get my gratitude in, and then as I go around my day, going with go take a shower and all that, I put the music on. I rarely listen to songs that have words in there because then it brings the emotions of the song. And I like to be more neutral on a happy end. So I put the music that has no words, but it has like uplifting music. I also have on my Instagram, and I'm not saying that you need to do Instagram, I'm just telling what I do that helps me, is I have those stories saved where they somebody just has informations about, oh, I'm grateful to universe about this day, and oh, like I'm good, I'm successful, and whatever things that set my mind at right at the beginning. And then I just go on with my day. But I do work out and I go do dance, but this is all at evening hours when I'm feeling the most energetic. So when it comes to morning routines, find yours. And also, I know that my coaching clients who have businesses and who have families, they have very little time in the morning, and they immediately become stressed out about that, like, yes, I really want to work on my stress levels, but I don't really have time to meditate for an hour, I don't have time to go to the gym. And it's like, yes, don't stress yourself, find some routine that works for you during the day. And so the body, you definitely know, and then I want to talk about 7 human needs here. The five ones, the begin ones, is just like, yeah, you need to breathe, you need to drink water, you need to eat nutritious food. I don't need to explain you that. Then you have to feel safe that somewhere closed off from weather and snow and all of that. You make yourself feel safe. And all of those human needs they already know. But then there are two others that I think are very important to maintaining your stress levels low. Is number one, you need to belong to a group. And I already touched a little bit about that we really need other people. I think loneliness is the biggest pandemic that's continuously for years. And it looks to me like the more years go by, the more lonely we become. We have more people on the planet, but we're becoming more lonely. And there was this research done that, let's say 50 years ago, when, 100 years ago, whatever, when you had a family living like 3 generations inside the same house, stress levels were less. Uh, I mean, they were lower because you had the component of other people. Now you have one family living under one roof. So what starts happening is that, as we know, and here's a little bit touching on, men and women handle stress very differently. Women need to talk, and men need to retreat. You're probably thinking like, yeah, I already know this, but um, here's an advice, and I got this from Dr. Gray. He says, for women, when your man comes back home, or comes to the kitchen from office at the end of the day, do not immediately start giving him problems and complain, because men are like, wait, what I need to do, I need to compress right now, and I need to walk through my emotions and my projects, and then I will be able to talk to you. And for the woman, when she comes back home, or she comes to the kitchen from her office, and she starts, oh my God, and this is what the men need to do. They need to just listen. There's no advice needed, just listening, being there for each other. I can have another presentation about how men and women handle stress differently, but this is not the time. But I want you to really remember this as well when you're dealing with other people. Um, Knowing that other people also have very different stress levels. And if somebody's lashing out at you, and you know what hurts me when I see when people who are in pain, and they, let's say, bullying on something. Yes, it's very bad. It's like, why are you doing this? Why are you hurting other people? I think there's always a reason why they behave like this. It's coming from pain. It's coming from fear. It's coming from being lonely. So when we see someone is not behaving the way we expect them to behave, we should always ask ourselves a question. What really happened to it? What happened to you? What happened to me? And having empathy to them, but also having empathy to yourself. So whatever stress management comes, no matter what you do during the day, talking about your maintenance level every day, your stress management, what happens is you have to have this empathy towards yourself. And you always need to tell yourself, I'm doing the best I can. Because truly, you are. It's not like you wake up in the morning and you say, you know what? I just love hurting myself and my family and my friends. I'm going to go do something that's going to hurt them and me. We don't do that. We always expect that today is going to be a better day than yesterday, and we're going to show a better or the same good as yesterday. So we're always doing everything in our given moment the best way. And that can be very hard to hear. It's like, no, I'm not there yet. But where is this feeling of I'm not there yet and I need to improve myself really coming from? It's coming from not truly loving yourself. Because if you can honor yourself, not abandon yourself, this is true self-love. You're like, I accept myself the way I am right now. And if I'm feeling sad, if I'm feeling anxious, I'm going to be there for myself, and I'll have empathy, and I'll ask myself, what those emotions coming from? I will label them like, okay, where does this remind me of? What can I do? And ask yourself, what would comfort me right now? Do you need to talk with someone? Maybe you can have plenty of tools how you can suit yourself and have your emotional regulation and all of those things that can help you to manage your own anxiety and your own stress levels and worries. So, human component. Feeling lonely starts when, if you grew up in an environment where you felt that you were not good enough, or the part of you were not, you know, making happy other people. Like, for example, let's just say you love singing. But the moment you start singing, your parents or maybe your siblings made fun of you and they said, oh, come on, just shut up and sit down. You took away that part of you that you love so much, and you became resentful toward that part of yourself because you thought, well, if I'm going to start singing, I'm going to be excluded from the group, hence and I. So you took this away, and that part of you is closed off. Then we have more other parts of ourselves that we hide. And then when somebody tells you, I love you, you're like, well, you no, you don't, because you don't know truly me. You don't know all those parts of me that I myself hid away. So that's why it's kind of sad, because when we are adults and now in this environment, and we're dealing with other people, we can feel very lonely because we know that other people don't even know us. And the sad part is that if you are not going to start taking care of yourself and how you feel and honoring yourself, those parts of yourself will be hidden for the rest of your life. and you will never feel included in the group. Hence, you will never feel safe 100%. And you can be, living in a very big family, but if you don't feel like you are loved and seen and validated for who you are, that is a very lonely experience. But that validation starts with you validating yourself. And why is like, okay, well, how I'm gonna do this? There was something that I heard like probably a year ago that really made me rethink a lot of things. It says you talk to yourself and you behave with yourself the way your caregivers talked or behave with you. And then I realized, well, my dad was alcoholic and my mom was like very controlling and very high standards, everything. I realized that's how I talk to myself. I keep on abandoning myself. I'm talking down to myself. So no wonder I'm stressed out because I'm stressing myself out. So you need to also remember that you may be stressing yourself as well. But those are the patterns that you learn from the environment you grew up. So, okay, so we have the human component. You need to be belonging in a group, have friends, be in Spencer's community, keep good job, be there. Know that list of friends. Remember, I told you that make a list of people that you can rely on, that you can trust. Always try finding new friends. Online, it's a great thing right now because you can find communities that are all around the world. And as you can tell, a lot of people there are a lot of people who came to the same experiences like you are. So we are very unique, but we're also very similar, and getting out of that loneliness, because when you feel lonely, you feel you're not there for you, nobody's there for you, and that could be very stressful and very depressing situation where you think there's no way out. But there is way out. You just need to reach out, and maybe you may feel like, wow, I need to have a lot of courage for that, especially if you grew up in an environment where to be perfect was the big deal, where you've been talked down if you look weak. And maybe there was a lot of things that made you feel ashamed of yourself. So it could be a stretch for you to actually, tell yourself, I really want to help myself and I'm going to reach out to those people. And they say if you're feeling sad or whatever, go and volunteer. Help other people. We are born to help others. We all are service animals, as I say, we are all in the community. If you feel like a little bit low and you feel like I don't even want to do anything anymore, go help others. Just be among people, and that will help you to be in that another human element that will make you feel satisfied. Now, the last human element that I think we need in order to maintain our stress levels is you need to do something fun all through your day. So I highly recommend you to identify the things that you love doing it and then doing every single day. You're like, well, I love going on vacations. I don't think I can go on vacation every single day. That's why I said you can do a list. So you constantly should build that list. And if you like something, you start writing down. And then you ask yourself during the day, like, okay, what do you want to do today? It doesn't have to be a very big going on vacation. Of course, it can, but it also can be reading a book. Like, I love reading a book, sitting on my little sofa right here. And I just, even if one page, even if half a page. But what happens is when you allow yourself to do something fun that day, you honoring your needs. You're not abandoning yourself. Remember, I told you about abandoning yourself? That's how you're not abandoning yourself. This is how you tell yourself, hey, I'm going to be there for you. And hey, I can show up for myself. That's mean whatever stresses come in the future, you have faith in yourself that you can manage that and you can handle it and you can ask for help and you'll be fine. I had a client that I asked her what does she likes to do, and one of the things she said, I always wanted to color. I think coloring books are great, and the coloring books were taking off. And she said, yes, you know what, from now on I'm gonna, I'm will be coloring every day. I'm like, okay. And then a few weeks passed by and I said, so how is that, what is that you do that make you feel happy? And she said, um well, you know, when I start coloring, I really get so sleepy. Then I feel bad because I'm not finished the same page. She was very like high achiever, and she was giving herself a hard time of not finishing this image that you wanted to, color. That's not stress management. This is stressing yourself out. So that's what I'm telling you, what I mean by stress management should not be stressful. You need to feel ease and you need to feel relaxed in any stress activity that you're doing to help yourself. And doing something that you love starts with identifying what it is and start doing that, even 5 minutes a day. Be consistent, show up for yourself. And then also have a hobby, do something that you love doing it. Uh, Artistic expression is very important to us because we're very creative creatures. So, but also creativity can be working on a project. Creativity could be putting together a party, meet with friends. Anything that has to do with creation elates our hearts because we're the creators. That's the whole point. So you maintain this, have your routine, make sure your body, your needs, you're not abandoning yourself, you know where you're coming from, all those like maintenance things. And so then what is that you do when something happens immediately? Let's say you're driving in the traffic and then there's a accident and you're stuck there and you are late to a meeting. And you're like, oh my God, well, here I am, I had this amazing morning and I meditated, wrote my journal and all of this stuff. By the way, writing about journal, I have terrible handwriting. I do not write journals. It gets frustrating. I'm like, oh my God. And then, they say, oh, and then you go back a month and then you reflect on what was life a month ago. I'm like, this is stressful for me. I cannot even read what I wrote. So journaling is not for me either. But I like talking. Also, if you like writing, you can dictate whatever your thoughts are in the Word document, right? So again, make sure that your your stressing management techniques is not really stressing you out. So then you have situations where you're sitting in traffic or something happened or you heard some bad news. You need to have stress management toolkit. And there is a toolkit that I recommend. First, usually the whole stress starts in our mind, right? So it's like a train. If you sit on it and you're gonna let it ride, it will, drop off the cliff. So as soon as something happens, you need to tell yourself, okay, this is happening. And start repeating sentence or two that is really positive affirmation. So for example, I use I'm calm, collected, in control, and you can keep on repeating. When you repeat this for 10, 15 minutes, you get into like, oh, okay, because the first wave kind of went by and you're okay with that. Then you need to breathe. We're not breathing enough. I know. Deep breaths in and out. And I heard so many of those techniques. You need to breathe in, hold to 8, then you hold to 5, then whatever. Just breathe, okay? Just breathe. The more the possible. Um, and then touch your body. Touching your body helps your brain to relax. Did you notice that small kids, whatever they feel upset, they run for the hug? Give yourself a hug. You just can touch your shoulders or your hands or whatever. And then you help yourself to regulate your emotions and just being there and again honoring yourself. So have the routine that you need to take time and realize what it works for you once something immediately happens. Have that stress management toolbox that includes the physical body, breathing, and your mental regulation. And then the one, I know we don't have enough time, but that's why I will invite you to come for my whole class where I'll be teaching in detail my calm process. And my calm process stands for CALM. So next time when you will see keep calm and carry on, you'll know what I'm talking about. Every situation in our lives that we are in can be very stressful at that moment, or maybe you are dealing like with a divorce or something that's a very, very long and like every day looks like forever. How is that manage that stressful situation? So C stands for control. You need to identify what you can control, what you cannot. A stands for acceptance and appreciation. There's always silver lining in any situation. Maybe you're sitting in traffic because maybe you have been hit 2 miles down the road. We don't see the bad things that want to happen to us. Maybe it's not divine timing for something. Maybe you didn't get the job because they will go bankrupt. Maybe you didn't get the guy, the girl, because you are not ready for the good relationship. Or maybe you need to do some other things. So there is always standing more behind it. L is stands for limit. Identify what are those things that you do right now that has to do with your stress management that don't work. And this is where you need to go back to who are you, where you came from, what your characteristics are, what works for you, what doesn't. Eliminate those that they don't work, no matter who somebody else says. And then M is multiply. You multiply what works. So when you go through the whole process of identifying what works, what doesn't, you don't do what doesn't work and you continue doing what works. And if you find that your list is like, well, I don't even have that much what works for me, then find new things. And Spencer has a lot of great classes on his community that you can go and help yourself to see what works for you and discover new things. And I know it's can be, it take courage, but I know you can start small, have empathy, and as long as you're consistent, you'll be fine.
Thank you so much, Lolita. Like this was amazing. I was writing down notes throughout it, and I have so many, and I don't have enough time to share all of them. But I love that you took some of the things that people are told, right? Like, oh, start journaling. Oh, you need to work out. You need to do these things, and you're like, well, hold on. That might not be the best thing for you, right? And that's, I mean, you know this with our Energizer community. Yes, I talk about journaling. Yes, I talk about doing these things, but it has to be right for you and fit within your day, your schedule, and it could look different, right? Journaling, for example, you don't necessarily have to write. You could speak it, or maybe you just share it out there or whatever. It's just to help you process. So I love that it's figuring out what works for you and adjusting it. What works for me might not work for you. And we discovered that, right, with working out and different things and through the Philippines and our chats. Like that's so cool that we could be different, and that's beautiful. Find what doesn't stress you out. I also like this some of the tools you said. Give yourself a hug, validate yourself. Also ask yourself a question, what does love mean to you? Because that so many times we just go with what we think society has taught us or what society has taught us. So what does it really look like? What does it mean to me? And where do I see it? And is that the healthy way for me? Is that how I want to identify it? But like labeling the emotions separates it from us so then we could address it. I thought, oh, that was awesome to be able to hear that. I've thought about it, but I never put it like that. So for me, I'm going, oh, okay, if I could label that emotion, well, now I could address it, right? I removes it from me. And so I really like that. And obviously figure out what's best for you. And then the last part I'll share is I'm amazed at how many stressors we have in our life, ones that we don't even recognize the thing about. You pointed out, like, okay, well, you're wearing clothes because your body's stressed out, right? If it didn't have clothes on. So just even those hidden stressors, but the traumas we've had, from our childhood, from parents, and then the usual stresses of work, of being stuck in traffic, of grocery store to finances, to politics, all these different stressors, loyalty being like a hidden, almost like a hidden stressor. And I could relate to that and all of them. I think we all can relate to all of them to some degree or another. There's just so many, and so thank you so much for sharing all that and helping us become aware of all the stressors, or more of the stressors in our life. I'm sure there's more, but then also giving us the tools and strategies to overcome it. And then the calm process. Can you just say what those four letters stand for again?
So C stands for control. In any stressful situation, you need to ask yourself, can you control it or can you not? For example, you sit in traffic, not like you can control it because you cannot start moving everyone, right? So this means you need to just say, okay, well, there's not much I can control about that, but you still can control your own mindset. And we stress ourselves when we do not when we start controlling something that we cannot control, like other people, for example, or how other people feel or how other people behave. What you can control is yourself and your own response. So that's what the C stands for. A is appreciation or acceptance, approval, anything that reminds you that you need to go back to your center of thinking, okay, maybe there's something good in that. Changing your perspective. This is where your control comes. This is what you can control, is to assign different meaning to the situation and say, well, maybe it's not that bad. Maybe I can do something about that. And L is limiting what does not work. For example, about traffic, beeping and yelling at people, that's not going to work. You stressing out and thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to be late, that's not going to work out. So you eliminate those. Then M stands for multiply. what works, multiply what works. So for example, let's say you're always listening to some podcast or audiobook while you're driving, and that helps you to calm down. So when you get stuck in traffic, you're like, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna call my boss and tell him I'm gonna be 15 minutes late or whatever. I'm stuck in traffic, but you know what? I'm gonna use this time and I'm gonna listen to my podcast. And then you're multiplying that way because you're not in a hurry now. Everything is safe. You're like, you know what? I'm just going to enjoy myself.
I love it. And I love that it's a simple, easy approach. Four letters, four things that we can remember. And it's a beautiful, people say, keep calm, and carry on. Well, let's keep calm. And now we have the acronym for it. But there's more to it, right? It goes deeper than just those. And how do we apply it? Like, it's great to hear, and I'm sure we can figure it out on our own to a degree. But if we really want to get the crux of it and get better, not better, and just be able to master it, having you guide us through a process is huge. And so I was really excited when Lolita and I started chatting about this because so many people are dealing with stress. And as Lolita said, there's so many stressors, not just the common ones that we think about. There's so many layers to it. I was excited that we could collaborate. And so we're putting together a 4-week cohort. So for those of you that don't know what a cohort is, basically it's a live virtual class. So you're going to meet weekly. What we scheduled out is it starts a week from today. So it starts February 1st. It's meeting at 11 a.m. Eastern for, I believe, roughly 1 hour. So 1 hour for 4 weeks. So basically for February, you'll meet and you'll go through this calm process. Like, I think, Lolita, can you just talk really quickly about the schedules, like the first week C and the second week A, and you go deeper? How does that look?
Yes, exactly. So the first week is C, then A, and then L, and then M. And what I'll be talking about is that there will be a lot of really reflecting and building your own toolbox and deeping, deeping is that the word, getting deeper. And I'll ask you questions where you need to answer. I will talk about why we feel resentful of doing some things, why we keep on doing the same things, it will be a deep dive that will help you to realize why you do what you do. And of course somebody can come to this to the cohort with some idea of like, yeah, I'm in this life situation and I don't know, and we can walk through that. um, but I can guarantee you this can be applied to any situation, sitting in traffic or somebody dealing through divorce or whatever climate that is now these days. But it will be very personal, and that's why I want to spend close to 1 hour, of course, because I'll leave some things for questions. I'll be very happy to answer all the questions where we can really get into details and create very, very something personal that works for every attendee.
I love it. So it's almost like customized, a small group, customized and working on specific issues and stressors you might have, and then probably other people have, and you can relate and help each other out. I absolutely love it, and I'm super excited that we could offer this to the Energizer family. It's a 4-week cohort, starts February 1st. So you could sign up this week. It does cost, it's $97, but only $97 for you to master stress. Imagine, like, okay, how stressed are you going to be this month, this week, this year? And now if you could reduce that stress, let's say by 50%, pick an arbitrary number, 50% less stress. Isn't that worth $97 for you to be 50% less stressed the rest of your life because you have this systematic approach? To me, it's a no-brainer. But that's just me. You need to do what works best for you, right? We don't want this to stress you out either. It needs to be there to support you. I put the link in the comments. I put it on the replay where it's playing on YouTube. And then if you want to catch lifetime access to this replay, because it's only going to be available for if you want to catch lifetime access, you just have to register. You can access it, register anytime, and you get lifetime access to this. But if you want to join the cohort for it starts February 1st, 2025. So you only have this week to join it. So if you have any questions, reach out to me or Lolita about it. Any last thoughts before we head out, Lolita?
The only thought I have is you need to sign up for this class, like right now.
Right. Well, also, I want to ask, where can they connect with you? I know you're in the Energy Hub. They can connect with you there, but where can they learn more about you and connect with you?
So my website is beamazingyou.com. Also, I have a YouTube channel. It's called the same way, Be Amazing You. I have a podcast, and I every day I release one episode under 10 minutes, and we're talking about specifically some stress management tips or tricks. And all my books are on Amazon, and pretty much you just can go to my website, beamazingyou.com, and then all the links kind of go all the ways.
beamazingyou.com. I love it. So learn more about Lolita and make sure it resonates. Hopefully you enjoyed this class. Let us know what your biggest takeaway was from this master class. And if it resonates and it aligns with you and it's not going to stress you out, it'll help you reduce stress. Make sure you join that cohort. Thank you so much, Lolita, for sharing your knowledge and wisdom with us and being an Energizer expert. I appreciate you. And thank you to all the Energizers here watching this. You are amazing. You are worthy. You are enough. Go be
Thank
less
you,
stressed.
Spencer.
Go shine your light. You're very welcome. Thank you. Have a great day, everyone. Love y'all.
Yeah,
Bye.
bye.